In 1970, deep in the mountains behind Bergen, Norway, lies a remote, rocky ravine known to locals as Death Valley. The terrain of Isdalen Valley is treacherous, covered in jagged scree and dense forest. On a Sunday morning in November, a hiker and his daughters were walking one of these trails when they caught a strange scent. Following the smell of burning flesh, they stumbled upon the badly charred remains of a woman wedged among the rocks. The fire had carbonized the front of her torso and her face, leaving her features unrecognizable. Yet beneath her, the back of her body remained entirely untouched by the flames. Her arms were drawn up near her chest with her hands clenched tight. Forensic investigators recognize this as a pugilist or boxer stance, an involuntary physiological reaction where muscles contract violently when exposed to extreme heat. The localized burning and the placement of the body ruled out a simple hiking accident. Someone had actively and deliberately destroyed the identifying features of a human being. As investigators combed through the sparse belongings scattered around her, they found a chilling level of sanitization. Every single label had been meticulously snipped or torn away from her clothing. Even the smallest details were scrubbed. A prescription tube of eczema cream lay near the body, but the patient's name and the doctor's details had been completely scraped off the side. The toxicology showed she ingested a lethal dose of barbiturate sleeping pills. But that simple explanation fractured almost immediately. The medical examiner found heavy concentrations of soot deep inside her lungs, proving she was still actively breathing when the fire was ignited. Local police closed the investigation by ruling her death a suicide. However, the methodical destruction of every identifier suggests a professional performing a final, total sanitization of her history. A few days after the discovery in Isdalen, authorities matched the dead woman to 2 unclaimed suitcases sitting in the luggage depository at the Bergen railway station. Opening the bags revealed a highly unusual inventory. Inside were multiple wigs, pairs of non-prescription glasses, and assorted piles of currency from Germany, Norway, Belgium, England, and Sweden. Hidden among these disguises was a small notepad. The first page was covered entirely in cryptic, coded writing, prompting police intelligence to immediately begin deciphering the strings of letters and numbers. When they cracked the code, they found a precise, heavily detailed log. It mapped a frantic schedule of train rides and flights, tracing her movements back and forth across major European cities over the previous year. The investigation tracked these dates to various hotels throughout Norway and Europe, revealing she had used at least 8 different names and presented high-quality forged passports for every single alias. At almost every stop, she claimed to be a Belgian citizen on a travel holiday. But when investigators gathered the hotel registration cards, the handwriting matched perfectly across the board. It was one woman executing a massive coordinated deception. The suitcases, the wigs, and the coded diary reveal a pattern of professional tradecraft. She maintained a shifting presence across Europe, using aliases to stay ahead of the same authorities now tasked with finding her name. To understand why an operative was moving through Norway in 1970, you have to look at the geopolitical landscape. During the Cold War, the country was a major strategic flank for NATO and a hotbed for covert international intelligence gathering. At the exact time the Isdal woman was traveling the Norwegian coast, the military conducted top-secret trials of the new Penguin anti-ship missile system. Her travel log aligned closely with these classified tests, and witnesses placed her near key military installations. A local fisherman recalled seeing her closely observing the Stavanger naval base, a site intimately connected to the weapon trials. Another witness reported an unusual interaction at a hotel restaurant, observing the woman sitting silently next to, but carefully not speaking with, a German naval officer. Whoever she worked for, her tradecraft held firm. 50 years later, her mission and her true face remain as anonymous as the silence she left in the valley. Traditional police work in 1970 hit a dead end, but modern archaeometry provided a new path forward. Recently, researchers retrieved her preserved jawbone from forensic archives to extract biological data hidden deep inside her teeth. To figure out exactly how old she was, scientists turned to bomb pulse radiocarbon dating, a technique that traces the atmospheric fallout from above-ground nuclear weapons testing during the Cold War. Between 1955 and 1963, nuclear detonations caused a massive spike in atmospheric carbon-14, shown on this chart. That excess radiocarbon locked into forming human teeth. Matching the Isdal woman's sample to the curve's subsequent steady drop, back calculated her exact age, placing her birth around 1930. Alongside the radiocarbon, investigators analyzed stable oxygen and carbon-13 isotopes in her jaw. These chemical signatures reflect the specific types of groundwater she drank and the local crops she ate while she was growing up. The results definitively ruled out a childhood in Scandinavia. The isotope ratios mapped her origins to a specific geographic corridor in mainland Europe, likely near the border of Germany and France. Modern science has mapped her childhood geography and calculated her birth year, yet biology cannot provide a name. Without a matching record or a relative to claim her, she remains precisely what she intended to be, a person with no past.
Every case has a story. See you in the next investigation.